Hello everyone. Today I'm just going to have a little garden chat. It's midsummer and there are a few things that I have been thinking about over the past month that I am going to change next year. And I have my notebook here so I don't forget to tell you anything. First up, in my corner native plant garden that receives a lot of sun, I'm going to make a couple changes. I grow a plant called Rattlesnake Master. I love it and it gets really tall. I also grow Monarda didyma, and it is the red Monarda, also known as Oswego tea. And what I'd like to do in that spot is take my Rattlesnake Master where they currently are and interplant them with the Monarda. I think that the silvery balls, flower balls of the Rattlesnake Master will go really well with the bright red of the Monarda didyma. So that's one thing that I'm going to change. Something that I've already started to change is where I have a ton of golden Alexanders. What I want to do there and in the bed throughout is I want to put a few more bushes to give the bed a little more stability, or so that it's a little more grounded and just not all flowers, and maybe slightly more formal. So where I have all my golden Alexanders, or a large amount of golden Alexanders, I have taken a lot of those out, planted them elsewhere, and I put in 2 Hypericum prolificum bushes. I already have one there, so I just have like a grouping of 3 right there. I think that'll look really nice there for most of the year. In addition, what I did is I interplanted those with little pockets of purple coneflower. So the purple coneflower and the Hypericum prolificum will be blooming at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. And so the Hypericum prolificum has the really beautiful yellow blooms, and then obviously the purple coneflower has the purple blossoms, and those 2 colors are complementary colors on the color wheel, so I think that'll look really nice having the rounded shape of the Hypericum prolificum, 3 of those, because you always plant in odds, and then shooting out from in between those will be purple coneflower. In addition, with the purple coneflower, I want to interplant some more purple coneflower with my short tooth mountain mint. I have a couple purple coneflowers that are popping through my short tooth mountain mint right now, and that silver and purple is looking really beautiful. Another change that occurred to me while I was looking at my native plant hedgerow out the window where I have my coffee maker is that every year I get a lot of devil's walking stick in this one area, and I actually love devil's walking stick, and the blooms are amazing, and it is a pollinator. The pollinators just go crazy for devil's walking stick. However, in that native plant hedgerow, I have planted so many bushes and shrubs and different perennials, herbaceous perennials and things like that, that I want to fill out, and I think that the devil's walking stick may smother it. So what I want to do in the fall is I'm going to take all of the extra devil's walking sticks that I don't want in that area. So I'll probably leave maybe 1 to 3, and then all the extras I am going to move over to my compost, the area where I have my compost bins, and I am going to plant them in the bare area there, and that's on the other side of my property line, and that area is a dry area. However, I've been trying to just bulk up that whole area with organic matter, so I'm improving the quality of the soil over time, so hopefully that works. But every time I try and plant an elderberry over there, the deer get to it. So I'm thinking if I get a good patch of devil's walking stick going over there, I can interplant with elderberry and hopefully keep the deer off of them. And then the final thing that I'm definitely going to do this fall is I'm going to take all the random little bottle brush grass plants that I have just growing in places where I don't necessarily want it or I didn't plant it. I am going to just move that through the shady garden beds, just interplant it just randomly, And mainly I am going to take the bottle brush grass and plant that in the huge bed that I have of New York fern. So I really love that look of the New York fern, and it's so big and lush and everything, but it's just very monochromatic as far as texture goes. So I'm going to take my bottle brush, of maybe 7 to 9 bottle brush grass plants and interplant through that whole area. And then I'll have the beautiful texture of the ferns on the bottom, and then I will have the bottle brush grass shooting up from that, and a bunch of different areas. So I think that would look really, really cool too. Okay, and now moving on to the cutting garden and the veg patch, I'm going to completely transition that next, or actually starting now. I put that bed together for mainly for cutting flowers. Well, I don't cut any flowers. I just like to watch them grow and look at them while I'm outside, so I really don't take in flowers. So I realized that I could just flip-flop how I'm growing the vegetables and the flowers. So the raised beds, I'm going to start transitioning them to be all vegetable beds, because like I've talked about before, I really want to start doing a lot more with growing my own food. And so this fall, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Those are going to just be year-round vegetable beds, at least for the time being, or until I change my mind. So so this fall I think I'm going to do kohlrabi and lettuces, and I just put in some more beans, red swan beans, and so I'm still working through that. But anyway, I'm going to have a fall planting in there as some of my annuals start dying back, or if they don't look so healthy, I'm going to start taking them back and seeing where I can put in very organized and formal rows or patches of late summer, fall, winter vegetables. As far as the flowers go, I really love zinnias, and I really love dahlias and sunflowers and things like that. So I'm just going to transition those into all those grow bags that I have. I have tons and tons of grow bags, and so I will definitely be putting the grow bags out and putting my annual starts in them. And on the topic of the grow bags, I am no longer going to try to grow indeterminate tomatoes in 5-gallon grow bags. Like, I keep doing it. Like, they say, there's a definition or there's a term for something when you try and do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Because I only had 5-gallon grow bags to begin with, I just wanted to make it work so bad. So from now on, any tomatoes I grow in grow bags will probably be 10-gallon grow bags, and only for determinate tomatoes. So that's a change that I'm going to make going forward. What I did here on the deck is I took all of those indeterminate tomatoes that I am growing in grow bags, that I was growing in grow bags in the veg patch, and I brought it up here on the deck. And I went to Lowe's, and this is another change that I'm making. I went to Lowe's and I bought a few tomato plants because a lot of the tomato plants I have are specialty tomatoes, and I think I really need to understand what grows really well here in Virginia and still include those fun and fancy varieties of vegetables, but also I need to understand what grows well here. So I got a beefsteak, a better boy, an early girl, some of those types of plants. And the same thing with the cucumbers, because I'm finding that I'm not exactly in love with silver slicer or salt and pepper just yet. I may change that eventually, but so I got some Boston pickling cucumbers, and I can't remember the names of the other 2 cucumbers that I got, but I'll put them on the screen as well. So I'm buying them from Lowe's because I'm thinking these are likely the plants that will do well in my area. I may be wrong. I didn't feel like doing a ton of internet research before I went to Lowe's, so that's what I'm going with. Okay, so no more indeterminate tomatoes in 5-gallon grow bags. No more indeterminate tomatoes in grow bags at all, because actually what I'm doing is I'm digging down into the ground where those grow bags were, and I am planting I'm taking that soil, I'm mixing it with compost, I'm filling the hole with water, and I'm planting those new, more common varieties of tomatoes in the ground right there. And so it's kind of like a round two on my tomatoes, and that is in the veg patch. And so we'll see how they do in the ground. I think from now on there's no reason why I shouldn't be planting them like directly in the ground. I think I hesitated in the past to plant them in the ground because of my compact Virginia clay soil, but I think with mixing the soil, the native soil with the compost, hopefully they'll do okay. No worries though, because what I'm going to try and do is find some daikon radish seeds. A good friend named Trisha, a gardening friend, had told me that if you plant daikon radishes, that will really bust up the soil. So I think for the fall, I'm going to plant a bunch of daikon radishes along that line, and then, you know, get a lot of leaf mold and stuff like that right there where those, to make the soil even better for next year. And finally, here on my deck, I put my leftover tomato plants that were into 5-gallon grow bags. And so next year I am going to do a lot of growing on my deck, but I'm going to get all varieties that do well in 5-gallon buckets, and that are container varieties, that are small dwarf varieties of vegetables. And this will be kind of like, you know, my deck potager garden. You know, they talk about right plant, right place, and I've said before that it took me like way too many years to appreciate that saying. It's true with the vegetables too. I don't think growing indeterminate tomatoes in 5-gallon grow bags on my deck is gonna serve me well when I have other places, better places for that plant, and then I can put container varieties and dwarf varieties up here on my deck. Those are just some of the things that I have thought of over this first half of the growing season that I need to change to be able to produce more food and to be a better gardener. And yeah, just kind of like lessons learned from the first part of this growing season. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that some of the things I talked about today will prevent you from making the same gardening mistakes that I have made. So anyway, yeah, thank you again, and I will see you again next time.